There's a new movement at work in the Rocky Mountain High Country. People and organizations representing a wide variety of interests, talents, and causes have found a common denominator: the water that supports their communities. This new movement is possible because of AmeriCorps Vistas, energetic service workers pioneering a new branch of Vista work that focuses on the environment. Affiliated with the Department of the Interior's Office of Surface Mining, or OSM, these vistas are assigned not to towns or cities, but to watersheds, the drainage areas of America's creeks, streams, and rivers. Alan Komp started the OSM Vista program in 2001.
My job was to actually help small communities clean up the mess from old coal. And it was pretty clear to me that Vista and the kinds of talent that Vista positions could attract could bring real strength and capacity to small mining communities that were really struggling to address the environmental and economic and social problems that are sort of inherent in being an old mining town.
The OSM Vista experiment started in Appalachia's coal country, but now OSM Vistas are in at least 23 Colorado communities with support from the Colorado Division of Reclamation, Mining, and Safety. Its official name, the Western Hard Rock Watershed Team. More assignments are scheduled for New Mexico and Montana.
We tend to start in the upper parts of the watershed out in Colorado, largely because that's where most of the mining was up in the headwater areas. But we all live downstream, and finding the ways to address some of those headwater areas is a great way of also improving the quality of water and the quality of life downstream from those areas.
These environmental vistas work on 5 core goals: building capacity, environmental monitoring, community revitalization, outreach and education, and professional development of the vistas themselves. Let's take a look at how 3 OSM vistas embody these goals, working in 3 Colorado watersheds near the towns of Lake City, Mancos, and Creed. In community development circles, the phrase building capacity means getting more people involved, usually volunteers.
The Vistas have access to a lot of resources. There's a whole network that they can tap into in terms of bringing in outreach materials or grants, opportunities like that.
In the Mancos River watershed, these people come with diverse interests and backgrounds. They include those representing a national forest, mining, agriculture, the town of Mancos, Mesa Verde National Park, and Ute Mountain Ute tribal lands. Watershed Director Felicity Brennan says the Mancos OSM Vista, Nadia Hebard, has great skills here.
My Vista in particular is really good at bringing and forming relationships with people who wouldn't necessarily have a voice in that. They aren't necessarily folks who would come to a meeting, but she's formed these relationships where she can act as a liaison and bring that to the table, and it becomes part of our working subject, and it works really well.
The Willow Creek Watershed Group, operating out of Creed, had been dealing with the legacy of abandoned mines north of town for many years. But there's a mill tailings pile on the other end of town, an unsightly welcome mat on the main entryway. OSM Vista Kathleen Murphy has gone after new volunteer help from the community.
And it's really not very difficult for me to say, hey, I'm Kathleen, I just moved here, I'm doing this. And people were curious, and so I would just tell them, and when we needed volunteers, I said, hey, you were curious about what's going on, why don't you come and help?
Ask those in state and local government. There's value in having someone administer the details associated with volunteers. Tara Taffy is a project manager with the Colorado Division of Reclamation, Mining, and Safety, working near Lake City.
Not only are they amazing at applying for grants, getting grants, coordinating events, but they also can help just organize everybody in your group and assign specific tasks for those people to do, instead of just kind of everybody not really having a direction.
The watersheds must be monitored regularly for changing environmental information. OSM Vista Nadia Hebert became a member of a monitoring team of specialists from state and federal agencies. Together, they take water quality measurements on the East Mancos River.
I mean, one of our goals in the Mancos Watershed Group is to form a solid group of volunteers who will go out and do some water sampling on a monthly basis and do some riparian assessment. To be able to understand a bit of that and see how it all works, I think will help do more of the coordinating behind the scenes.
Revitalization often begins by writing grants that clearly explain the needs and potential of a community. Former Peace Corps volunteer Camille Richard brings years of professional experience to her OSM Vista job in Lake City.
I'm kind of different than most, well, I'd say the vast majority of Vistas, because I came in with over 20 years already of professional experience.
She raised more than $300,000 writing 2 grants for the Lake Fork watershed.
I had that experience already, and also had the experience of knowing the community. And
Camille worked hard for about a half a year on both of those grants, and she's an excellent writer, knew how to wordsmith the grants correctly, which is important. Very good interpersonal skills, talking to people on the phone.
my skill set is that I'm an innovator. I see connections. I'm ambitious in that I like to see a lot of things happening. So I came in and I said, you know, I brought in my enthusiasm, let's say. So I came in and I said, no, I think we can do this. Let's try it.
In the 1980s, the mines outside Creede closed, and some thought this would mark the town's end. Today, Creede is primarily a tourist town, inviting visitors to learn about its mining heritage. Another sustainable industry in which Creede has high economic hopes is the arts.
Last stop, here we are, after 30 hours in the third class car.
The town is home of the acclaimed Creede Repertory Theater, which draws sellout crowds every summer. But the town, which is still one of the poorest in Colorado, must first restore health to the community's water.
When you have a healthy watershed, you have a healthy economy. And so by improving the watershed, ideally we will help improve the economy of this community as well and help to alleviate some of those poverty issues that the community, some members of the community are battling daily.
Improving education outreach really spoke to the Vista in Mancos, Nadia Hebert. Her goal, to get children to understand that the water that comes out of their faucets starts in the mountains outside town.
How many of you love the river? The fact that I have a passion for that just keys in beautifully to what they've been wanting for the watershed group all along. It's important not to pollute the river. Why?
The OSM Vistas we've met say they value the professional development that comes from this job. They agree the Vista experience can't be matched in a traditional work track. In Lake City, Camille Richard was already a watershed volunteer.
You know, I had an ulterior motive. I was volunteering for the group anyway and would have continued doing it, but here was an opportunity for me to actually take this position, allow my husband to be here with me.
Nadia Hebert might stay in Mancos after her one-year OSM Vista commitment officially ends.
I think that being a Vista is a great opportunity to participate in something that is great and educational and that won't be forgotten or a waste of time.
And Kathleen Murphy plans to use her Vista educational grant to study hydrology.
I've just been learning so much. I can't even fathom the stuff that I have been learning, and I can't put a price on what I have learned.
What's next for the Western Hard Rock Watershed team? Growth.
Or what I'd sort of like to see as my really big challenge is to see if we can't take this idea of Vista positions supported by sort of a coordinator or an organizer at the federal level, maybe helping 1,000 communities that are sort of impoverished by environmental degradation.
My message to AmeriCorps is thank you for having a bigger vision of what poverty looks like in different locales and its contributors.
For those trying to get things accomplished in small mining communities, the OSM Vista program fills a huge need.
The fact that they're finally putting on the ground people to help our organizations build capacity, to help develop education and outreach programs, to help people understand how important clean water is and what the threats to that are, I mean, it couldn't be more critical.
In the end, it's about the new vistas helping these small communities help themselves to better cope with complex environmental issues.
I applaud AmeriCorps for thinking more broadly, out of the box perhaps, and seeing that bigger picture.